Hey, yo, it's Matt-tastic. Back with another one. Thank you everybody who joined. What we doing here today? We're here with week 4, picking against the spread. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm picking every game this week. And we're going to see we're going to see if the, no, sorry, stop stream. Hey, yo, it's your boy Matt-tastic, on with another one. What we doing today is we picking against the spread. I've been doing this since week 2. First week I was 7-8. Last week I was 9-6. So we're gonna keep it up. See if we can keep it up again this week. Let's see if we can win 12 games this week. I thank everybody for watching. Everybody who's joining. If you're not watching this live, you're watching this eventually. I appreciate that you clicked in and you watched. Hopefully I can get you winning y'all some money. But before I get started with picking games, I just want to mention one thing about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This month in October, this whole month, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And breast cancer, it used to be one of the most deadliest cancers, or the second most caused death-related cancer for women. So I suggest all you women out there, go get tested. You're young, old, in between. Get tested. And fellas, if you have any women in your life that you really cherish and appreciate, and even if you don't, suggest that they go get breast cancer. They go get themselves checked out, because early detection is the key. Well, just like anything. So the quicker you catch it, the quicker you get yourself checked out, the higher chance for you to survive. Even though now, and today, since modern medicine, breast cancer women has 90% chance of mortality now, of living now, because of modern medicine. But even if, early detection is still the key. So women, get yourself checked out. Everybody get yourself checked out, but especially women right now. Also, you see in the top corner, there's a code for Visible. I don't know if you've been watching the stream before, but Visible is a phone service, which I use currently. Let's see if I can show y'all right now on the stream. You see up top, Visible? Well, right now I'm listening to that new Lil Wayne, Rich the Kid album. Visible is something I use. I don't get paid from Visible, but I am promoting Visible because I really believe in Visible. Visible is the parent is the parent company is Verizon. So whatever Verizon Towers is Visible Towers. And in my experience with Visible so far, I have used it for the last 3 months, going on 4 months now, and I've been very, very, very pleased with the service. It's $40 flat each month. That's tax included. So if you see that code right there, 3QLDQJ. If you type that in, if you want to start Visible, and if you type that code in, your first month will be $5. $5 flat. Then $40 for the rest of the month. I mean, for $40 a month there on after. Excuse me. And I like Visible because you get everything. You get free text messaging, unlimited internet, calls, and they also have a personal hotspot. Now, what's cool about the personal hotspot is you can use that anywhere. So, for instance, let's say you have a Nintendo Switch and you want to connect it while you're outside in a park or something. You can just go to your phone, go to your settings, and just click on personal hotspot. I'll show you my passcodes. I'm going to change it anyway. And it's just that easy. It's just that easy. And you have internet at anywhere, anytime. So Visible, cool little phone service. So if you want to go switch to Visible using your old number, you don't want to keep paying $80-$90 a month for phone service for the same phone service, try Visible and use that code. That code will get you $5 off for your first month. But without further ado, we're gonna get into what we came here for. So last week, like I said, I was 9-6. I lost that last. I would have won 10 games, but I picked against Dallas on Monday Night Football, and I was gambling. What I was figuring out, what I was thinking is because they're division rivals that the Eagles would have covered the point spread, but that game was a blowout. Wasn't even close. But if you listen to the stream, I think it was Thursday, so yesterday, before yesterday's game, I did pick the Jacksonville Bengals game. And the Bengals were favored by 7.5 points, and I picked against the Bengals because I knew 7.5 was a lot of points. The Bengals are still a young team themselves, and they was down 14-0. Like Jacksonville had the lead for basically the whole game, for the whole first half, and I guess Cincinnati came back yesterday, went ahead and won. Our game is going to be the Washington football team against the Atlanta Falcons. I watched Atlanta play last week, and I picked against Atlanta last week. I picked the Giants, well, because I'm a Giants fan. I'm a homer. And Atlanta was very impressive, maybe because the Giants are sorry, too. And they went ahead and got the first win of the season. So coming into today, they are 1.5 point underdogs against the Washington football team, who I think they came off a loss themselves last week. Where's that game at? That preview, yes. Let's see what Washington did last week real quick. I know they lost, but I forgot who they played. Oh, yeah, I got that point spread correct, too. They played the Buffalo Bills. They lost 43-21. Well, Buffalo's a real team. That's a solid team right there. So it was no shame in losing that game. But this game is pretty much even if you look at the so what I do is I look at how the team is playing with the eye test, and I also look at tendencies numbers and stats. And for the team ranks, they're basically even, Washington and Atlanta. So that's why this is a 1.5 point. Vegas picked this to be 1.5. So basically what they're saying is they think Washington is going to win by at least 2 points. Well, that's what you're looking for. They both pretty much the same stats all the way down. Passing yards per game, Washington is 23rd rather. Atlanta is 25th. Rushing yards 21st. Atlanta is 28th. Pass defense 29th. Atlanta is 17th. Rush yards, Washington is 25th, and Atlanta is 19th. Wow, interesting. This vaunted Washington defense coming into the season, everybody was thinking Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and company was going to be more of a record crew, and so far it's not looking like it. I think Atlanta came off that big win last week against the Giants. That was a comeback win too, because they had the lead. The Giants had the lead going into that fourth quarter, and they blew another one. So being 1.5 point favorites, I'm going to pick I was going to pick Washington, but I'm going to pick the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're going to win outright. I think they're going to use that momentum from last week. With Washington still trying to figure out themselves on defense, Matt Ryan will be able to do enough. I don't like Matt Ryan, but I feel like he would be able to do enough with the pieces on playmakers that he have to go ahead and pull out the upset. Not the upset. Yeah, that's an upset. I was looking at the injury reports, and nobody's of consequence for either football team. You got Brandon Sheriff, who's injured for the Washington football team. You got Landon Collins, who's questionable for this game. But besides that, Washington is pretty healthy. And the same thing goes for the Atlanta Falcons. They got a few people on IR, but no one of consequence that will really affect the outcome of this game. So the first game we're going to give to Atlanta Falcons. They're going to cover the 1.5 point spread. Not only will they cover, I'm going to predict that they will win. The game is predicted to have 47. Over-under is going to be 47.5 points. I'm going to go with the under on that one. It's probably going to be a 21-23 game, 21-24 game. And if you combine that, that's 45 points. It's still under 47. So if you pick points too, I would pick under. The next game on slate, another 1 o'clock game is going to be the Houston Texans against the Buffalo Bills. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick. And the Houston Texans are. Oh, this is the big game here. 17-point favorites to win this game. And if you know me, I like when point spreads are high. Like I said before, if you watched the previous stream last week when I was predicting games, I think that was a Saturday stream. I said this. I like high point spreads because both teams are professionals, and it's hard to get blown out by 17 points, regardless of who the team is, regardless of the circumstance. So just off the rip, I'm looking at the stats here. Buffalo Bills winning 2 in a row after losing the first week to the New England Patriots. Why is it not loading up? I'm sorry. Technical difficulties. You know, if you're watching me play video games, you know I'm always coming with technical difficulties. And this is not even working right now. Wow. But let me just write it over again. Excuse me. I know this is a live stream. This should be more clean, but I'm having issues right now with the web. There we go. I just had to refresh the website. That's what happened. So the Houston Texans and Buffalo Bills 17.5-point favorites. Let's look at the injuries. Let's see if anybody's out of consequence. They got Marquise Lee out, and you got Brian Cox Jr. out for the Buffalo Bills. Now, as for the Houston Texans, you know, besides Deshaun Watson, who's not injured but going through legal responsibilities right now, who's not allowed to play. You got Larry Tunsil, who's out. He's on IR. And so without Deshaun Watson, the Houston Texans, who look like they were reeling last year, even with Deshaun Watson, I still see them covering the 17 points. I know the Buffalo Bills just came up for huge wins last week against the Washington Redskins, beating them by 22 points. But even if I'm going to pick the Texans and the 17, when I checked earlier in the week, it was 16.5 points when I was going to actually talk about this game. And now we get to today, Friday. And excuse me, let me tell you where I'm getting my point spreads from. This particular point spread I'm getting from the DraftBooks NFL Sportsbook. Let me give you the exact website. I don't want to. So I'm using sportsbook.com DraftKings. So this is the point spread that they come up with. So if you're using that app, you're in an appropriate state where you could gamble. You're using that app. Right now, if you go to gamble, there's 17-point favorites. I would take that 17. Because that's a lot of points to cover. You got to think about it, too. They looking at this team like they're a lowly team. And just like human beings, just like you and I, sometimes we slip up. We're not perfect. So I would take the 17 points, and I would take that spread. The next game on slate, the 1 o'clock game, is going to be the Detroit Lions against the Chicago Bears. And the Bears are 3-point favorites. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick. Excuse me. So, again, looking at the significant injuries, the Bears don't have anyone of significant. Well, Tariq Cohen, that's a big loss. He's on IR. I don't know what type of IR he's on. I don't know if it's for the season or he'll be back in 6 weeks, but he's not playing. He's a pretty nice piece for the Chicago Bears, little scat back. But aside from that, they still got Montgomery. So I'm not sure if Justin Fields is not scheduled to play till week 5. So I think it's still going to be Andy Dalton. And the Bears are 3-point favorites against the winless Detroit Lions, who I think is another bottom feeder of the league. But both of these teams are pretty much, I say, bottom feeders. And this is division rivals. But I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears and covering the 3 points. No, I think they're going to get the exact 3 points. I think this is going to be actually a push. But I'm going to pick the Chicago Bears to cover that spread. Again, we'll be in division rivals. The game will be close. But I think the Bears have just a little more playmakers on the defensive side to be able to overcome Detroit Lions. Next game we have on slate is going to be the Carolina Panthers at the Dallas Cowboys. And the Carolina Panthers are 3-0. And they playing America's team. So I think that's why the America's team is 4.5-point favorites. America's team just came off that big win last week against that Monday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles, where Dak Prescott looked amazing. He come back. As long as Dak Prescott is healthy, the Cowboys always going to have a legit shot of winning the game. Let's see if we see any significant injuries from either side of the ball. Oh my gosh. This website is letting me down right now. Well, because of these pop-ups that's on my phone. I was using my phone to look at the stats, and then, it's letting me down again. This is crazy. I guess I just gotta refresh the page. So again, the game is at Dallas. Yeah, it's not working. Oh, there we go. Let's check. Oh, I went back to Chicago Bears. Excuse me. So Dallas is 2-1. Carolina is 3-0. And this is crazy. I'm gonna go with the Carolina Panthers covering the 4.5 points. Not only will they cover the 4.5 points, I think they're gonna outright win again. Dallas Cowboys defense to me is not very impressive quite yet. And with DeMarcus Lawrence, I know he's still hurt. But the Cowboys do have playmakers in the DBs. However, Christian McCaffrey's still playing. And I think he's going to have a big factor in this game. See if I can pull the scores back up. Let's see who's hurt for this game. Let's see if there's any significant injuries. No, let me click on it. I'm going to have to go through my computer, because I don't know what's happening on my phone. You know, they got all these pop-ups coming up. And everything, all the stats I use is of ProReferenceFootball.com. I like that website. I've been using this website for 3-4 years now when I'm picking my games or picking plays. Because normally what I play is the DraftKings, the fantasy draft. Each week you pick a new team, new players. So I normally come here, I watch this, and I watch, highlights from YouTube. I go by what I see from the games as well. Oh yeah, this is moving much smoother, so I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna have to use my computer instead of the phone I was using. And to me, that's the only real big injury issue they might have. I thought this guy was hurt too, but I guess not. Or maybe he's on IR. I don't see DeMarcus Lawrence up there. As for the Carolina Panthers, they don't have anyone of consequence that is injured. And looking at both of their stats, the Dallas Cowboys they scored 30 points a game, they gave up 23. As for the Carolina defense, they are number one in pass yards per game. But I think that's going to be that's going to be a little bit of a challenge here this week, going against the Dallas Cowboys, who has a high-powered offense themselves. The Carolina Panthers just finished playing the Houston Texans, whose offense is not up to par. And they also beat the Saints, which was division rivals, 26-7. So we about to see this week if the Carolina Panthers are for real. I think they are for real, meaning as these are one of the surprise teams of the NFL. Will they keep this up the whole season? I'm not going to go on that far of a limb. But I do think they're going to start off the season hot. Sam Darnold has a lot to prove. I think he's ready to prove it. He was with a tough organization with the Jets, and now he's in a better organization for him, surrounding him with his particular skill sets. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Carolina Panthers to win this game. Outright. Not just cover the 4.5, but win outright. I don't think Mark McCarthy is as good of a coach as... He's not that good of a management. He's not that good of a coach to me. Just hands down. That's what I got to say about that. And that's, the point spread for that game is 51.5. Woo. I think I would take the over on that one. The next game on slate is the Indianapolis Colts versus the Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins are 2-point favorites at home, which I don't know why. You don't know what Miami Dolphins team you're going to get. Even though I guess you don't know the same, you could say the same thing about the Colts as well. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, much better to use. It's much something new. Of course, technical difficulty. You have to be ready to. Houston, Buffalo. No, not Houston, Buffalo. Who did I just say? Excuse me. I'm sorry. Let me go back to my Excel. Oh, Colts, Dolphins. Excuse me. Brain fart. Because I can't find that game up here. Colts, Dolphins. Colts, Dolphins. Colts, Dolphins. Let's see who's injured for that game. The Indianapolis Colts is Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is questionable. Fragile Carson Wentz is questionable, but I thought he'd probably play. I don't know, questionable. That's a tough way to call. And it's still early in the week. But teams do that just to throw their opponents off. And I think he will play. Because the same thing happened, I think, last week. Which I figured that he wasn't going to play, and I picked against him, and he did play. Going back to their records, Miami Dolphins are 1-2, and the Colts are winless. And Jacoby Brissett is coming back to play his old team. He was with the Colts, I think, for at least 3 years, 4 years maybe. And looking at their stats, there's nothing too impressive here. It's about even. Yards per game, the Colts average is 26, Miami's 29th. Rush yards, Indianapolis is 19, and Miami's 23rd. Pass defense, Indianapolis is 12th. Miami is 19th. Rush yards, 28th. Miami is 27th. So I think it's going to come down to Tua Vailoga. I don't know if he's playing or not. I don't know why Jacoby Brissett is even, because it is even the leader in stats. I know he played again last week. I know he took over for Tua 2 weeks ago. But Tua is not even on the injury reserve. He's not even on the injury list. Regardless of the fact, I still think. Let me go back to my Excel. I still think that the Colts will cover and win outright. So I'm going to pick the Colts. To cover the spread. The next game on the docket is going to be the Cleveland Browns versus the Minnesota Vikings. And I picked the Minnesota Vikings to win outright last. That I do remember. To win outright against the Seattle Seahawks. Minnesota is another one of those teams who is tough to read. They high one week, they low the next week. And you don't know what Vikings team you're gonna play against. You're gonna get. As for Cleveland, they lost that tough week 1 game to the KC, but ever since then they won 2 in a row. Let's see what they did last week real quick. Let me see who they played. Oh yeah, they played Chicago Bears. Won 26-6. I think I picked against them in that spread, and I got bit on that one. Looking at the injury reports, Cleveland Browns don't have anyone of consequence on the injury report, and neither do the Minnesota Vikings. So this is about even. With that being said, probably one of the better games of the week. That's going to come down straight to the end. But I do think Minnesota will continue with what they did last week and win again. So I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings to cover the point spread. And even if they don't win the game, they're going to still cover the 2 points. Next game on docket is the New York Football Giants against the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints just came off a tough loss last week. Jameis Winston obviously he's better than Tyson Hill, but I don't know if he's quite the answer yet for the Saints. But the Giants, I've seen enough of the Giants nonsense. All the Giants do is shoot themselves in the foot. And to me, they don't. Right now, they're kind of weak in the middle. They have no pass rush, which means they play that soft zone. By with them playing that soft zone, people keep getting open at untimely opportunities for the Giants at least. So looking at that game, I don't know if they're back in the Caesars Superdome. I guess they back home because I know they was washed. They had to play their home games in other arenas because of the hurricane the storm that passed through Louisiana about a month ago. Jameis Winston is throwing for 387 yards throughout the whole season. That's 3 games. That's not very impressive, especially in today's league when it's a pass-heavy offense. Looking at the stats, looking at the injury report, Marshawn Lattimore is questionable. Ty Montgomery is questionable. Those are the 2 names that's on here. Will Lutz is out for the season, the kicker. Or he's on IR, rather. But even with Marshawn Lattimore, if he does or does not play, he probably will take the week off. Who the Giants got injured is Kyle Rudolph. He's on IR. Kenny Golladay is probable. He was questionable last week and he played. So with him being probable, he more than likely will play again this week. Looking at the stats, New Orleans is still 14th in points scored per game, and the Giants are 24th for 18.7. But the Saints are dead last in pass offense. Well, second and last. But New Orleans is a ground game. Even though I say the Giants are soft on the ground, they are 11th in the league currently through week 3, giving up 107 yards on the ground. So the question is, can the Giants stop the run game? And even if they can, I don't know if that matters that much because, like I said, the Giants continue to shoot themselves in the foot. I don't know what Joe Judge is doing. But I don't like it. His team is always mentally unprepared each and every week. So with that being said, I'm going to pick the Saints to cover the 7 points. That defense is still tough. No, I'm not. I picked the Saints to win, but I'm going to pick the Giants to cover. Because every game the Giants has been in, it's not like they got blown out yet this season. Besides maybe the first game. And even then, they blew that game in the second half. So I'm going to pick the Giants to cover the spread. I'm picking the Saints to win the game, but I'm going to pick the Giants to cover that spread. So next on the docket, we have a 1 o'clock game. We have the Tennessee Titans at the New York Jets. And I don't even have to look at the stats here. I'm going to look at them anyway for giggles because I already know who I'm picking in this game. I picked the Titans last week. So far, the Titans have proved me right so far. Every week I picked them. And the Titans are a substantially better team than the Jets. More solid team. And they got Derrick Henry. Mic drop on that name. I'm going to pick the Titans to win that game by more than 7 points. That's probably like a 10 to 13 point game right there. I'm going to still look at the stats. See who's injured. See who's not playing. Regardless of who's injured for the Titans, this game is not a competition. I don't think so. The Jets are missing a free safety, Marcus Maine. A.J. Brown is questionable. Like I said, I don't care who's not playing for the Titans. As long as Derrick Henry's playing, they are more than fine and capable. Looking at the stats, let me look at the Jets' run defense. Well, the Jets actually is decent. They mid-packet. They mid-level, 14th in the league, and rush defense with 111 yards given up on the ground. But the Tennessee Titans are third in the NFL in rush yards, 159. The Jets are dead last in the NFL with 6.7 points per game. Amazing. In today's NFL, how you can't even score a touchdown a game? That is wild. I think the Jets will score more than a touchdown, but I still think the Titans were going to cover the 7 points or the 6.5 points if you're on the DraftKings. So that was the easy one there. That was a no-brainer. What's on whose mind when the game starts, and that might take effect during the game, and then there you go. The Jets go back and win the game outright. But I don't think that's happening this week. Next, we got the Kansas City Chiefs against the Philadelphia Eagles. And KC defense is horrendous. They giving up 31 points a game, 30 points a game. Let me go check for sure. When I was looking at, I was previewing each game earlier. I couldn't believe some of the stats I was saying for KC. But that's the one thing I did say. I picked against KC last week. I think I picked against KC the week before. Like I said, KC did not get better in the all season, and they already had a questionable defense for the last couple of years. Andy Reid coming out the hospital. Which Andy Reid has health conditions, so that's always a scare. Well, for the Kansas City Chiefs, they have on the injury list of consequences is Tyreek Hill, but he's probable, so more than likely he's gonna play. And as for Philadelphia Eagles, they have about Devontae Smith, he's probable. The tight end is out, Tyree Jackson. But looking at pass yards per game, Philadelphia is fifth in the league, giving up only 181. But I don't think that matters against a team like KC, who offense is always high octane. KC's averaging 30 points per game. The pass yards, Philadelphia is middle of the pack with 247 yards a game. Against, let me see KC pass defense, against one of the worst pass defenses in the league. And even worse, they have even worse rush yards defense. So this game is actually closer than what people, I think this game is going to be closer than what people think. But the Chiefs are 1-2. Vegas, it says here on Pro Football, Vegas is giving them 7.5 point favorites. If I had those odds, I would pick the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think DraftKings got a 6.5. So if you can get that extra point to 7.5, I would have to take the Chiefs to get the touchdown difference over the Philadelphia Eagles. So again, I guess it's depending on where you get that, where you betting from. If you get 6.5, I would take the Chiefs. If you get 7.5, I would definitely take the Eagles. Next you have on the docket is the Arizona Cardinals against the Los Angeles Rams. And both teams are real hot right now. Or trendy teams, especially Kyler Murray, the way he's starting this season off. Boy, don't he look good. That's what I figured. They both are 3-0. So somebody's leaving here defeated. They won't be two undefeated teams in the NFC West. These are both division rivals. Let's look at you know what? Let me scroll down some and see the last few results. They last played each other January 3rd, where the Rams beat the Cardinals 18-7, and they beat them 38. Well, they beat them the last 5 times, dating back to December 23rd, 2018. So the Rams are on a 5-game win streak. So if you feel like this is the Cardinals' time to turn that around, maybe it is. Looking at the stats, these are both high-powered offenses. Cardinals are number 1 in points per game. The Rams are third with 31.7. They both give up about the same amount of points, 21 points per game. They both have positive takeaway difference. They both in the top 6 in the league in pass yards per game. But the Rams don't run the ball very well. They still looking for a running back. That's their problem. They lost most of the running backs before the season started. Arizona Cardinals pass defense is 8th. What's the point spread for this game? Here on Pro Football Focus is saying 4.5. Oh yeah, I think that's the same thing on DraftKings. 4.5 for the Rams. I'm gonna take the Cardinals to cover. If not, they might just win that game. But I'm definitely gonna take them to cover. It's probably gonna be a 3-point game. No, here on DraftKings it's 4 points. Regardless, I'm gonna take the Cardinals to cover that 4 points, and maybe just win outright. Here we have the Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers. That's next on the docket. Let's go back to Pro Football Focus. So Pro Football Focus have them. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. I found it. Points scored per game. Seattle scores 25 per game, and San Francisco have 29 points per game. Top 10. The San Francisco defense is 16th for pass coverage, and excuse me, my page finished loading and shot me down. And as for the rush defense, San Francisco rush defense is 23rd, giving up 122 yards on the ground. But San Francisco is the RPO team. They are a run-heavy team. And Seattle is almost dead last in rush yards per game, giving up 155 yards so far in the first 3 games of the season. Also, the pass defense is not much better, being 26th in the league, giving up 285 yards a game. But the Seattle do have the top 10 pass yards per game offense, and they're pretty good on the ground as well. Being division rivals, looking at the last 5 matchups, Seattle swept them last year, but San Francisco was hurt. They did take a lot of injuries early, which made that not the real San Francisco team that we know. Looking at their previous game, they lost by 13 to the Vikings. The Seattle Seahawks did. And I think if I'm positive, San Francisco won their last game. Oh no, they lost 2. That's right. They lost the heartbreaker. They had the lead, and Aaron Rodgers, pouty face Aaron Rodgers, took them down the field. And Mason Crosby kicked the game-winning field goal. So San Francisco really should be 3-0 right now. I don't know what they doing in Seattle, but that run they had with Pete Carroll might be coming to an end pretty soon. Now, I'm not saying during the season, but at the end of the season, might have to be some major changes. So just looking at, let me go back to see who's injured for this game, because that's the key to see. Jordan Willis, Justin Skull, Tavarius Moore, Elijah Mitchell. Nick Bosa, he's probable for this game, but I think more than likely he's going to play. And as for Seattle Seahawks, they got Jamal Adams, the strong safety, who's out. He's out definitely. So that's not going to help Seattle defense at all, with Jamal Adams being an in-the-box safety. And with Seattle winning the last 2, I'm going to definitely pick the San Francisco 49ers to win this game outright. Let me see what the point spread is again. I'm sorry. -3. I think it's going to be a touchdown game in San Francisco favor. So we're going to pick the San Francisco 49ers. Next we have on the docket, the Denver Broncos being 1-point underdogs to the Baltimore Ravens, which is an interesting point spread there. I wonder why they're so close. Let's see what the records are. Because Denver Broncos are a surprise 3-0 right now, with Teddy Bridgewater just controlling. I guess that's Vic Fangio knew what he was doing when he picked Teddy Bridgewater over Drew Lock, rather. And Teddy Bridgewater, he might not beat you with his arm down the field, but he will not make mistakes, and that's key. That's key winning anything, especially in football. You don't make mistakes. You don't turn the football over. You give yourself a chance to win each and every week. Looking at the stats, they both average about the same amount of points, and they're in the top 12 in the league in points scored per game. Points allowed per game, Denver is number 1. only giving up 8.7 points per game. They +3 in take over differential. Pass yards per game, they're 12th in the league. Rush yards, they're 7th in the league. Pass defense, they're 3rd, and rush defense, they are 2nd. So just according to the numbers, the Denver defense, which we always knew is a very solid defense. The question was on offense. And with them not making mistakes on offense, I don't see how. I see them winning this game, actually. Miles Boykin is injured for the Ravens. Marquise Brown is injured for the Ravens. Rashad Bateman is injured for the Ravens. All questionable. One of them might play. Which one, I don't know. All three of them might play. Let's see what Lamar Jackson numbers are. Lamar Jackson not only a leading passer, but he's their leading rusher. With 251 yards on the ground. My goodness. The Ravens are 1-point favorites to win this game. This is a tough one to call. I know I said the Broncos. Previous game. Let me see who the Ravens. Oh, they played the. Man, this is tough because they played the lowly Detroit Lions and only won by 2. Which I think I got that game right. I think I picked the Lions to cover. I'm pretty sure I did pick the Lions to cover that game last week. So I got that one right. Thank you, Lions. 1 point for the Ravens. You know what? Looking at the stats, looking at what I know, I'm going to take the Ravens and a point. Oh, we got 3 games left. Next on the docket is the Green Bay Packers home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And both teams I do not care for. I think Aaron Rodgers is a little overrated.